Okay, so we're going to talk about installment notes in this video for Chapter 10 for financial accounting. So there's a few things I don't really tell you how to do in here that I'm going to show you in Excel, just to kind of make it easier, because I think it makes it easier. So first thing, if you want to, pause this video and build an Excel spreadsheet that looks something like this, I'm going to go through and show how to find what a payment is and how to build this installment note spreadsheet for the amortization of this installment note. An installment note is just a debt that requires a borrower to make equal periodic payments to the lender for the term of the note. So it's a loan. It's a loan with regular payments. So if from a personal finance perspective, this would be a car loan, a mortgage loan for your house, anything like that. Businesses can use these for all kinds of things, but those are examples you might have actually seen yourselves. So just like the short-term notes payable, we have a principal amount of the note, we have an interest rate, we have a term, and then we have annual payments. Now they did the calculation for you, but I'm going to show you how to do that here in Excel, and it's relatively simple, I think. So face amount is also known as a principal, also known as a present value. Okay, all the same. In this case, it's $24,000. Okay, the term is 5 years. The term in years. The annual interest rate 6%. Now I did this. This is an annual payment, but I did this because if you ever want to utilize this for a monthly payment, if you're trying to figure out how much a car loan will be or a mortgage will be or anything like that, this will amortize that for you as well. Just to show you what that payment is. This one, they're only making one payment per year, but if you were doing this for a home loan or a car loan where you're making, 12, payment every month, so 12 months a year, you'd put 12 in here. This one is only one. So to find the total periods in this, I'm going to take the number of years times the number of payments. So notice if I would have used 12 payments per year, there'd be 60 terms, which makes sense. There's 60 payments. In this case, there's only, this total periods also would be the total. You could also call this the total number of payments in this case. The future value for a loan like this, we're looking for the future value to be 0 because the current value is 24,000. I want to pay it off though, and so I want it to be 0 in the end. So my future value is 0. My interest rate per period, I take my interest rate divided by the number of payments per year. Again, in this case, it's just going to be 6% because we are only paying it once per year. But if that were not the case, like if I'm building this to build some flexibility, and if it were 12, then obviously it would divide by 12. If it were 6 payments, or payment every 2 months, if there were payments every 6 months, 2 payments per year. So all those things you could do, but in this case, it's 1 payment per year. So the interest rate is 6%. So now I can figure out my payments. The function for this in Excel, I could show you how to do this mathematically, and we'll figure that out later in this class. But for now, the function in Excel is equals PMT, open parenthesis, and click on the F of X button to make this a little easier. So rate, if I want to build this with flexibility like I did, I want to take the interest rate per period. N per stands for the number of periods or payments in a loan. So I'm going to take the total periods. PV is the principal amount, the present value. Future value, I want the value to be 0 when I'm done. Type is the only one that's a little bit probably confusing, and that is just whether the payment's at the beginning or the end of the year. In this case, I believe the payment's at the end of the year. So 0. Hit OK. And see, it comes with, they rounded in the book, obviously, but 56, 97, 51. They said 56, 98 in the book to make this a little easier and more rounded. So the journal entry for taking this loan out in the first place, so the journal entry on January 1 would have been receiving cash of 24,000, and we would have credited notes payable for 24,000 as well. So that's the journal entry to take the loan out in the first place. Now what I've got is I've got an amount of a loan, I got payments, but I need to figure out how much of that is interest, how much of that is principal. If you've ever heard those before, when it comes to loans, it's a common nomenclature for whatever kind of loan you're doing. So how I do this is interest is charged based on the balance of the loan. So only what is outstanding, only what you still owe is charged interest. If you don't owe it, then you're not charged interest on that. So once you pay some of it off, you don't have as much interest to pay, but the payment itself stays the same. I'm going to put my note payment in here, and I'm going to leave it like it is just to make it so if that's okay with everyone. And I'm not going to round it. You could round it if you want to. So there's my payment. My payment is the same every single time. Okay, 56, 97, 51 in this case. My carrying amount, and on January 1st, this is when I took the loan out, is 24,000. Or actually, I can make this equals the face amount. That's what it is, whatever the face amount is. So my interest expense, to figure my interest expense, I need to take the outstanding balance times the interest rate per period in this case, which is 6%. So 1440 is the interest expense. The difference between my interest expense and my note payable would be, I'm gonna make that a positive number. Would be, I guess I could put a negative in front of this to make sure that positive too. Would be okay, let's just see this equals note payment minus interest expense gives me the decrease in the payable. So this 5697.51 includes two parts. We have interest and we have a decrease in the notes payable. So this part decreased the actual principal amount, which means that I no longer owe 24,000. I owe 24,000 minus this 4257, and then the remainder, the difference between that number and this number, is the amount of interest paid for this loan. So my carrying amount at the end of the year after I make this payment would be the 24,000 minus the decrease in notes payable. That's also going to be my carrying amount for January 1 of year 2. I'm just going to fill handle those down so that every time I do this, I can, and actually if I do this, okay, so all I'm going to do from this point forward is I'm going to take 1440 times the carrying, or sorry, 6% times the carrying amount and get the interest expense. Then this is going to subtract the note payment minus that, gives me the decrease in payable. Then this column here is going to take the carrying amount, the current carrying amount minus the decrease in notes payable, which equals that. And luckily, this should only take a second. Okay, so notice every year my amount of my payment goes down. Notice that the interest, each payment goes down, and that makes sense because I'm always using 6%, but it's always times a lower amount because I'm paying it off every time I make a payment. And notice that the last one is exactly down to 0 because I didn't round it. It wouldn't come out to necessarily exactly 0 if it was rounded, depending on how you did your rounding. But because I didn't round it at all, it comes out to exactly 0 for those payments. So what does a journal entry for these look like? So this is my January 1st journal entry for taking out the note payable in the first place. So what's my December 31st entry look like for when I make that payment? Well, first things first, cash is obviously credited because I'm paying money. So cash is credited for the 5697. So this is year 1, 31st year 1. So I'm going to credit cash for 5697. I have some of that decreases the notes payable. So I'm going to debit notes payable for that amount. And then I'm going to, and then I also have interest expense because this is interest that I'm paying on this loan that I have already paid, or now at this point I'm paying 1440. So that is the journal entry for year 1. Year 2 would look exactly the same, but with different numbers. The same accounts would be exactly the same. Notes payable, interest expense, and cash. But my notes payable is going to be the decrease in notes payable for year 2. My interest expense is going to be interest expense for year 2. My cash amount, that will always stay the same at 5697.51. Year 3, the same thing. This would be my cash credit. This would be my interest expense debit. This would be my notes payable debit, and so on and so forth. And when I get done with this, what will happen is I'll have a total interest amount of interest expense over the years of 4487.57, and I will have zeroed out my notes payable. It will be gone once I make the final payment. So that is all for liability or for installment notes.